Hi, Thomas.
Hi, Daniel.
So we're here at Nexus head office, old Ericsson headquarter, actually. And it's a little bit fun because we're going to talk about IoT and IoT security challenges, and it's a lot about communication. And from my perspective, it's interesting that Ericsson started here, really with the old telco communication, moving to mobile internet, and then going out to Internet of Things. So. Interesting. So a lot of things is happening, and you are involved in IoT and security projects on a daily basis. Me too, as well. So it's interesting to see that there are so many new things happening. But is it actually new, this IoT and the challenges here?
On one hand, it's not new because you use available communication technology. It's via mobile, internet communication. It's Internet of Things is per definition internet connected. And each of these devices contains a computer, so it's about information technology and data processing. What is indeed new in the IoT is that these things have some physical functions. In technical terms, it's called a cyber-physical system. And the physical function can be collecting some data, like the fill level in a tank, or your blood pressure, which is transmitted to a doctor's computer. It can be also activation functions, so that a service can activate, or you activate via service, your lights and in your smart home, or the heating, adopting the heating according to if you are at home or not.
Yeah.
So it has some physical functions, and that this is something new because you have to think about the safety of physical functions. If something gets wrong, a thing can start behaving mad and cause not only material damage but also damage to health or life. This is what you need to consider. The second thing you need to consider is because these things are on the internet and transmitting data back and forth about your environment, it can also contain some privacy-related data. It's not only your name or your address, but it's also behavior pattern. So if as a switching on and off the lights is transmitted to the internet, someone can look at this, analyze it, and get to know when you are at home. So a criminal organization can very well use this to design the best time to break into your house.
Yeah, interesting. So we see some industries moving really fast, and it has gone from smaller project to really global IoT projects, more or less, like the automotive and smart cities and smart grids, etc. So is there anything specific that you would like to mention that you?
Yeah, IoT applications are very, very different. It can be a very small scale application like smart home, which has also a limited security impact. It's, of course, we want to make sure who wants to enter your house, who is able to control your lights and heatings. If something goes wrong, okay, the damage is limited. It's possibly nobody's injured. It's material damage. But if you think a large-scale system like a smart grid, it can become a national catastrophe. If a cyber attack, an organized cyber attack, confuses the smart grid, or lets different functions break, the whole system of power supply can break down. And this is a blackout, which is a disaster.
Yeah. Interesting. So, and it's coming to mind and looking about these really big things and so on. I guess that the regulations is, let's say, they're different in different industries. And so, what's your view when it comes to regulations and IoT?
That's true in different industries and different applications. The risks are very, very different. So there can be hardly any general regulation. There are, of course, general regulations like GDPR, which are applicable. There are a lot of safety regulations in place for trains and cars and so on, and industry. But as IoT-specific regulations are basically behind evolution of technology. And what I see is all these things, regulation starts with standardization. If a technology reaches at a specific maturity level, then it can be standardized and a regulation can be applied. This is how it worked with the car-to-car communication, for example. It also seems to work in the same for plug and charge, for e-mobility. And I expect that all other areas will possibly work in the same way. But it is an industry-driven process.
Yeah, exactly. And even if it is global and very strategic, potentially strategic, let's say IoT networks, they quite often start on a very small scale, on a workbench with an idea and with and so on. So it's a and for us, being a security company working with PKI, etc., of course, we're always involved and come to the straight point to talk and discuss and see how to integrate security. But when it comes to the vendors that are involved, both manufacturing the devices, but also maybe doing actually the integration and the projects and the system. So there is a lot of responsibility lying on their shoulders at the moment when there is so much happening.
Yeah, that's true. Vendors are in the responsibility to think about, consider safety, privacy, security of the devices that they produce, because this is a basic functionality. It must be a top priority issue when creating a new application.
Yeah, and sometimes I feel that it's an impossible mission, but it's also so that if it's thought of in the beginning, it's quite easy to get it as a part of a project, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. If you consider, if you follow the principle of security by design, you start considering security risk, your security goals at the very beginning of the technology design, and then you can embed security on each component at the right level. For me, security is not not an organ that you add to the body at the end, and then it gets kind of safe and secure, but it's a kind of texture in the body that you have to consider at every little piece when you build a new technology. And the good news is that there's a lot of available technology for security, which we can take and copy from IT or modify. And also there are good methods of how to verify the security, privacy of systems. There are good policies, audit schemes, certification schemes, so that we can build trust in the system on the industry level.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting, and I would say that it comes for us. We often get asked about the security in IoT projects and so on, but we're really focusing on the identity part of the security. The security is much broader in sense.
True. Yeah. True. Security is a very broad topic. It includes communication security, application security, malware security, a lot of things. We focus on basically on communication and access security, and the basis for this that is a identity. Each of the device needs some identity so that the other party which wants to access functions can verify. Mixed now, but yeah. So the basis for security is identity. With an analogy, if you want to make your home secure, you add a lock to your door, which provides you access security. And if someone rings the bell, wants to come in, then you identify him. Okay, is this a family member? Is this a postman? You can identify it. But the parties need secure identities.
Okay, Tamás, I think it's been an interesting introduction discussion. Let's discuss more another day.
Okay, thank you. Talk to you then.